We've been involved in some pretty bad wrecks before. I think the scariest one was that Fontana wreck in the Xfinity Series many years ago. That was a rough one. The last 3 to 4 years probably has been a lot more work during the week as far as spotting goes. 15 years ago, we didn't have the tools that we have now. We just had the normal, the race replays, things like that. Maybe an in-car here and there, but nothing like what we have right now.
And we welcome you into Backstretch Banter on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90. I am Chris Childers, Mike Massaro from Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing alongside. And today we got a very special guest with us. TJ Majors, the spotter for the number 6, is with us. I heard he's been doing some media, doing some podcasting. So we are lucky that the star can stop by. We'll talk to him about what he's been up to. But TJ, it's great to have you, man. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. It's been a little bit, so glad to be back in here with you.
Lots to catch up on.
We have missed you. Yes,
yeah,
we have missed you. I can promise
I don't know about
you that. Well, it's good to have you back. I got to ask you, so were you just doing the Dale Jr. show? I heard there's some RFK presence this week. What's going on, sir?
Yeah, I just got we do the download on Tuesday mornings, and on the way out, I passed Ryan Preece, so he's going to be a good interview with him coming up. Should be pretty exciting, and usually they get some good answers from guys when they go in there and do that stuff. So I think Ryan's actually got a really unique and interesting racing story, very accomplished race car driver that maybe some newer people to the sport probably don't know, how successful Ryan was before getting into the Xfinity Series and even the Cup Series too. So really, it's going to be a really good interview there, so make sure you check that out.
And he's got lots of great stuff to talk about, too. An outstanding finish in Indianapolis this past weekend. He's had been on a run, certainly in the conversation about getting a playoff spot. Oh, and he also won the New England 900, so that's
that was
a fun
big
conversation,
yeah,
too.
It's kind of like the Daytona 500, but
very similar.
Very similar.
Yeah. Except in one race they run Crown Vics, and the other not so much.
Crown Vic's not a bad car.
No, it's a great car. It's not usually a race car, but it's a good car.
Usually when you see a Crown Vic, you're usually in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everybody behind Ryan that day at Stafford Motor Speedway was in trouble.
They were, including
Greg.
Yes,
they were.
Old driver Greg Biffle, I think, finished second, didn't he?
So I was there. So they ran side by side for the last couple of laps. I mean, it was a great show, and Ryan outdueled the future Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Congrats to Ryan.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get him on our show to talk about it at some point soon.
Some point, yeah.
Yeah.
We talk about that big win.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
Anyway, we digress,
we'll talk about
Chris.
that win and more wins to come on the racetrack, so we can forget about all this playoff controversy. I am curious, the conversation before we move forward to the number 6 car and spotting in Indianapolis and all of that. Massaro and TJ, the conversation right now at headquarters about 4 weeks left. If you look at the playoff standings, one of our guys is on the good side, one of our guys is on the cut line, and Brad's got some work to do, even though the last several weeks have been very good to him, and he's moved up the standings. But what's the conversation like? Is there anxiety? Is there energy? What's going on inside the headquarters?
To me, it's business as usual. You want to win every week, and that's the goal. So I think if you go and do what you're supposed to do, everything else is going to take care of itself. So just go and try to win. Sometimes you have to call the race a little bit differently, though, from the crew chief's perspective. Depending on how the other guys you're battling against are faring in the race, you might value stage points and stuff like that more at certain times. If you can get some, if somebody you're racing against is having, for that last spot or in the playoffs, you're trying to jump them, you might call a race a little bit differently. But to me, it's business as normal. You want to win every week. I mean, you don't win a race and then go to the next one and say, okay, I'm going to take the rest of them off here. You still go there and want to win. I want to win every single race we're in. So I don't think you change anything. I think your goal doesn't change. You still want to go and perform the absolute best that you can. And sometimes with the way the playoff system is, the crew chiefs have some tough calls to make, but the end result's the same, is to finish as best as you can every race.
And that's generally, Chris, what I'm hearing too, between the three teams. Winning is top of mind, right? So you don't want to leave anything to chance, especially when you look at what's left in the regular season, concluding with Daytona, where anything can happen. So the only way to guarantee a playoff spot is with a victory. So that's at least that's what I've observed, is that's the mindset.
For sure. And the tough part is that, we feel like three cars need victories, so that makes it, you're still competing against each other too, but this place is by far the best place that I've been as far as teammates go, how they work with each other. And, Chris and Brad and Ryan's new to the equation this year, but I think he's got good mentors with Chris and Brad to learn from, because they've had each other's backs on the track, whether late in races. They've Brad's pushed Chris to a win at Daytona. Those guys understand what it takes to make sure one of our cars wins, and not doing something too early where it jeopardizes that. And it's exciting to work with guys that have that mindset. And going to the racetrack with them every week is just fun. You got actual real teammates that are there, and they have your back in situations on the track, and you look for them at times. And I've been places where it was very competitive, and you kind of felt like you had a teammate, but if that guy could beat you anyway, he was still going to do it, and I think RFK has a really great chemistry.
And we've seen some of that teammate rivalry in other places, but you allude to the fact that these guys work really well together. We saw a great example of that in the second overtime. As they were coming to the check, well, I guess it was maybe coming to the white flag at the time, but Brad gave Chris a push, Chris gave Ryan a push. What did you observe in those moments?
Some of those, I know that when those guys see that stuff in front of them and they get an opportunity to help, they're going to do it. And that's like, I don't even have to tell them anymore. Most time you're like, hey, help your teammate or whatever. Sometimes when we're clear in front of a teammate and they're still racing back there, and it's a track that has a decent draft on it, I'll tell Brad, help Chris on the bottom, and I'll see Brad swerve low and try to pull Chris by somebody, and vice versa. I've seen Chris do the same thing. But the next to last restart, I believe, we were in a really good spot, I felt like, and I think the 20 car missed the bottom and washed Brad up, maybe Chris a little bit too, and won, and that allowed Ryan kind of snuck through there and took advantage of it. But that's just racing, that just happens. And as these races go on, the outside lane might be preferred at some tracks or something like that. But man, these guys get more aggressive, and when they use each other up or overdrive it, but they always end up in the second lane, so it stops up the second lane a little bit. And you can, but then, the time you take the bottom, nobody misses it, and the outside lane rolls. So it's like throwing dice, man. You don't really know. Some guy might miss a shift. Some guy might spin the tire. Some guy might just judge it wrong. You never know how. I've watched thousands of restarts, and you could plan on having the same one again, and guess what's going to happen? Not the same restart. So there's just, it's kind of luck, I guess. You just got to kind of get lucky at the same time. You got to try to position yourself the best you can and also get lucky.
Yeah.
Preparation.
They seem to rally.
And they come together, and sometimes you have success, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to, Mike.
Yeah, my observation was that they rallied and they worked together.
For sure.
In those two overtimes really well. I mean, they came from, I think they were all outside the top 10, and we ended up with 2 top 5s. So pretty
this
good
group's
outcome.
very resilient, and they don't give up all day. When I say this group, I mean all 3 cars. It without getting caught up in something, we all run. This is the closest I've seen teammates run on the track like consistently every single week. And it's nice to see that. And these guys, like, if we all do what we're supposed to do, sometimes you're not going to have the fastest car every week, so you got to do what you can do. And I think our group as a whole at RFK is very resilient, and man, they don't quit. Like, nobody quits, and that's where you see the guys like Chris, Brad, and Ryan who just grind all day. And then, you might be 18th, have a bad car, and not be where you want to be, but if you grind all day and you stay out of trouble and you make it to the end. I mean, we, like last week at Dover, we ended up top 10, or what did we finish? Top 10, 11th, something like that. We ended up 10th.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think we've put together some races like that, and that adds up, man. So you just got to keep after it and never give up, and this group never does.
Yeah, and you can see it in the standings. Brad has climbed inside of the top 25. It wasn't very long ago that he was probably about 9 or 10 spots behind that. So it's been obviously the beginning of the year did not go the way the 6 team wanted to, but they
I did a great job in the beginning of the year of crashing Brad like the first 4 weeks of the season. So that set us back pretty far. I think last year on this time we were around 7th in the points. We had a really good summer. And the beginning of this year was just I felt like I drove Brad into every single if there was a deer that crossed the track, I was going to drive Brad into it. So it was a very challenging start to the year.
In your defense, I don't think it was you. I think there was a lot of circumstances that led to that kind of thing.
I don't know. I feel like I have a lot to do with it, but I know accidents happen, or sometimes at the end of the day, Brad turns the wheel, but. I don't think there's anything any of us really could have done differently. It was just how it worked out. The Daytona 500, Atlanta, we come off turn 4, and Chase Elliott sitting broadside right in front of us, and we're out top 3 wide. There's nowhere to go. So, and then we go back to Atlanta the next race, and we're racing Chase for the win. So you just never know how it's going to go. But I like to say that I did a fabulous job in the beginning of the year of crashing Brad, at least 4 of the first 6 or 6 of the first 6. I don't remember what it was. I had a pretty good record.
I think there were a lot of circumstances out of TJ's control, but
I think most of it. But as a competitor, I think we're always our own worst critic. As a professional, you're always your own worst critic. And when the season's so long, did you beat yourself up? Did you allow yourself to put it behind you right away? How does that go? Because I think we all have different ways of dealing with adversity.
This is my 21st year, so I've had some really good years already, and I've had some really bad years before. So nothing. You just go about business normal. You don't really. You might not change anything, and you win the next 3 races, and then you might not change anything, and you finish 25th the next 3 races. You just don't. You just got to keep going and doing what you know how to do, and you can't really get caught up in the. And I like to think like the cool thing about a long season is you got Monday comes around, you put it behind you, and you got another race, you got another chance this coming weekend to rebound and or build momentum. You got a chance to put it behind you and go to the next one. So when Monday comes around, you better return the page and focus on the next race, because you can't change what happened the week. You can't change what's already done. So I think you just focus forward, man. The more time you spend looking back, and of course you always reflect on what you could do better or if you could do anything different. But if you're wasting time on stuff that you can't control, you're not. You could be putting that time towards the next race. So I don't think you change anything. I think the long season is it's probably the only time you'll ever hear me say this is kind of a bonus that you got that many. You got that many races. You got another week to rebound and build off of and win a race. I mean, like, these things are fun to win, and they're also very hard to win. So, but I don't know. I think the long schedule gives you a lot of opportunity. You want to take advantage of as many as you can.
As you say, looking forward to the next race. The next race on the schedule, obviously, is Iowa this week. We have a pretty good idea what drivers do to get ready for the next race. What about a spotter? What do you do to prepare for going from Indianapolis to Iowa?
It's no different. You go back and you try to prepare the driver and give him things that tendencies and how passes were made. How certain guys set up passes. If there's something he didn't try before, you try to find a lot of that stuff. You try to refresh his memory the best you can. Sometimes some sim work. I know Brad will do a lot of Ford sim stuff, but sometimes there's other sim work you can do. Just getting acquainted with the track again. We don't get a lot of practice these days, so anytime you can get, whether it's virtual or anything you can do to. You want his first laps to be on the track to be like he already has 50 laps there in the car. I want him to be within a car length of where he lifted the last lap that he ran there, in real life. I want him to go out there and be that close the next time, so we can go right to work on the car. The quicker he gets a better feel for the car, the quicker he can, if he needs an adjustment, the quicker we can get that done. So you're trying to prepare the driver the best you can, and it's taken off. The last 4 or 5 years, the last 3 to 4 years probably, has been a lot more work during the week as far as spotting goes. 15 years ago, we didn't have the tools that we have now. We just had the normal, the race replays, things like that, maybe an in-car here and there, but nothing like what we have right now. So with all the tools we have available, you go back and look at what guys that are really good, that were really good at, like, say, Iowa, and you're gonna try to find their traits and tendencies, and you're gonna put that in front of the driver. So when he gets out there, he has stuff to try, and what he did last time there as well. Compare, and then sometimes you compare the two and say, look, I think you were better doing this. Hey, I think he was better doing that. So keep that in your back pocket. So when we go there, you've got that in your toolbox when you want to try something new. So there's a lot of that during the week. As far as for me anyway, I don't know what a lot of the other spotter schedules are with it, but I just feel like the closer that I can help, prepare Brad and any driver that I work with there, but just what's getting ready to happen.
Yeah, and the other thing that's a lot different than 15 years ago, we've got a lot less practice. So it's important to have that information before the race car hits the track.
For sure. Yeah, it's really, that's, like I said, with the less practice, you got to be close when you unload. So I want Brad to be his lift points to be pretty much where he left off at the end of the last race.
A lot of work for the spotter, Chris.
A lot of work for the spotter, and it changes. The track's different. It's a lot of work throughout the year, no question about it. Let's find out more. TJ Majors is our guest here on the program. He is the spotter for the number 6. Let's take a break, come back, and we'll go a little deeper into what happened in Indianapolis. It was a rather good weekend for RFK overall. We'll get into it next with TJ right here. It is Backstretch Banter on SiriusXM NASCAR Channel 90. We're back here, Backstretch Banter, SiriusXM NASCAR Channel 90. Chris Childers with RFK's Mike Massaro, our guest this week. TJ Majors, he is the spotter for the number 6 for Brad Keselowski. Had a good weekend last week in Indianapolis. They finished P5. It's been kind of a wild weather time. In the Midwest, typically you think, it's going to be okay. It's not going to be as hot. Well, Indianapolis was incredibly hot. Chicago a few weeks before 4th of July, incredibly hot. TJ, take us through the day, the weather, the speedway, and how you guys felt at the end of it.
Weather was hot, man. It was hot all weekend. Yeah, really hot. It was
brutal.
Yeah, it was kind of miserable, and I did not bring my cool shirt, so no jokes there.
Yeah,
I should have had it, but no, it was, man. Them summer months, you always worry about showers popping up, and as a track as big as Indy, it can rain in turn 1 and be sunny in turn 4. So, but yeah, it was luckily. We didn't get too bad of weather delayed. Just a little, man. That when it would rain there, it was so hot it would almost dry the instant it hit the track. It did get a little wet in one there, but one pass with those air tightens and jet dryers and the track was dry again. It was drying so fast. But miserable hot weekend, great facility, tough race. It's a very track position race. It's one lane, but we all know that going into there. I still like it way better than the road course when we ran there. So, but it's also prestigious being the oval there. It's still the brickyard. Still get to go kiss the bricks whenever all the winners gets to still go and do that. Which is, thinking about it, when you think about winning there, that's what you think about. And just the landmarks, the pagoda, the history of the racetrack in general. I know we're running stock cars around there, but it's still the brickyard, man, and there's still a lot of history there and stuff. But yeah, as far as the race goes, I thought we qualified decent. The car had pretty good speed in practice and qualifying, and Brad seemed fairly happy with it. So usually when Brad's happy with a car, he's not a hot lapper. Like, he's not going to go out there and practice and try to lay down the fastest lap every week. He is a go for feel. He knows what he wants to feel in the car. It's a little bit annoying at times to me, but he knows what he's feeling, and he's not going to push the issue at times. He knows. He's in the seat anyway. He can feel it. If he doesn't feel comfortable, he's not going to push it. And there's no sense in getting yourself in trouble, especially in practice or qualifying, to jeopardize the car and the starting position and anything like that. But he's very good at knowing what he wants to feel, and when he said in practice, he doesn't have a lot of complaints. He was pretty happy with it. I was pretty excited. So we started the race off. What did we start, like 15th or something?
I thought it was 14th.
14th,
Yeah.
and I think we were hung around the 12th, 13th area there a little bit, and took some more fuel than the others the first couple stops, I think, and set ourselves up for a little bit later, which ended up working out in our favor. But definitely a very challenging race. There's not a lot of passing, so you got to get what you can on a restart through turns, 1 and 2, and kind of see where you end up in 3 and 4. And that's kind of when you come off turn 4, that's kind of where you're going to be running for a little bit. There's not a lot of passing there, but we were able to make a couple moves, and Brad was able to utilize some strategies that we had talked about before, and some racecraft stuff to set us up for, give Jeremy, Jeremy's really good at setting us up for a later play, which ended up is how it worked out. So it ended up working out really good in our favor. We got not the best restart there in the second one to the end. We kind of, like I alluded to earlier, we got shuffled up the track a little bit and lost a few spots, and that's how a couple of the guys got by us, and it kind of, worked out better for like Preece and them guys, but you never know how it's going to go. I was pretty happy with the day overall. One more restart would have been really interesting, I think. So that would have been really close on. I don't know if I think a lot of guys up front probably would have ran out, and that would have put us in a really good spot. But overall, really happy with the day. Pit stops, race, it was executed. We kept ourselves out of trouble all day, and a lot of guys found trouble. There's a lot of cars that had damage from restarts and things like that, and we were able to avoid all that and get a solid finish.
You mentioned the possibility of guys running out at the end if it went to another overtime. That was certainly one scenario that I looked at as a way that Brad could have won. But then the other thing, too, because of the fuel strategy the 6 was on, it seemed like when Joey Logano was on pit road and they were pushing the car down pit road, we all thought the caution was going to come out right at that moment.
Yep.
I can't be the only one who thought if that caution came out, that might have turned things around for Brad with the strategy he was on.
Yeah, you never know how it's going to play out. You just never really know. I ended up working out okay, but that would have been, I think that would have played a little bit more in our favor. But with the way that it went, and as fast as guys were running, a lot of them were already in trouble with any cautions. I think it kind of, it didn't really help. I mean, I don't know, maybe more guys would have ran out, but that definitely could have forced their hand a little bit more, which would have been nicer for us because they wouldn't have had that extra caution there to save, and I don't know how many laps you were able to get from a single caution, but definitely a questionable call there, and that kind of, I don't know, you got to make the best call you can, and we just kept doing the best we could, and Jeremy made some good calls, and Brad made some good moves, and we ended up good.
Yeah, we ended up great. Top 5.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll
definitely take it.
For sure.
Absolutely. And the team's got momentum going into Iowa and confidence going into Iowa with a few races left to go to try to get into the NASCAR playoffs. You mentioned a year ago how the team was running 7th at this point, and this year, it's been some bad luck. The last few tracks, from your perspective, from yourself, the way you spot Brad, the way he drives, crew chief perspective, how do you guys feel about the opportunities that await over the next few weeks?
Honestly, I look forward every week right now. I think Iowa, we had a really solid run last year. I think we were top 7 there where we finished there last year. I think we finished like 6th or 7th or something like that.
We got to go back to our research guy. We've got an ace researcher who works on all these things. He comes up with our stats, and
come on,
I'm sure we'll
come
get
on.
that.
I would already had to have stats on the earlier show, but no, I'm just kidding. But I do think we ran. I think we ran 7th, maybe a little bit better, but we were fast either way, and I look forward to going. We got the Glens coming up too, right? And then I have Daytona circled on my calendar as one that we could go to and really and finish 10th. We must have qualified 7th then. So, but yeah, no, we've got good tracks coming up, man. I'm looking forward to all of them really, and I don't really know if I do anything different for any of them. I just know that we're going for wins, and and that's kind of. That can be dangerous. A team that's going for wins can be dangerous sometimes. If guys around you, especially the guys around that cut line, they're going for points, right? They can't stand to just try to go for the win every time. They've unless they're backed to the wall, but we can do that now and go for it and try to put pressure on other guys. But I'm looking forward to all of them, honestly.
Yeah, lots. There's lots is going to happen here in the next few weeks, and I think where the RFK cars are running right now, there's momentum. Certainly, reason to be positive because they're fast, and it seems like they've hit on something at the right time, and that's really what it's all about. If we can find a way to get into the playoffs, who knows what damage can be done during those 10
For
races?
sure. Yeah,
right.
You never know how it's going to go.
So you're a football fan, so I know you'll be familiar with the quote that Bill Parcells had at one point. He said, "It's all about how you do in the tournament, right? So just get to the tournament." That's what Bill Parcells used to call the NFL playoffs. But so if we are able to get in, it seems like we're hitting on things at the right time, much like maybe Joey Logano did a year ago, and that certainly gives us reason to believe.
Yeah, I feel like the last few weeks are definitely a shot of momentum. Ever since Pocono, I feel like the cars have had good speed. Michigan, I know Brad had a penalty there, and Indy was good. We've been fast. So,
yeah.
And I think we weren't that great at Dover, but we made something out of it still. So that to me, that's good. What good teams can do is when you're mad at a 10th place run. So that's a good problem to have, but it's. Business is normal for us. Just focus out front and try to win the next one.
Coming off 2 top fives.
Yeah, pretty damn good run. And for Brad and everybody, confidence, and it's not too late. That's the good news. We got a month. We got a month to get this done, get in the playoffs, get in the tournament. And as Bill Parcells said, just get there and do your thing and win, baby, because all you have to do is get a chance. And that's what we're looking for right now for all three of our teams, the 6, the 60, and the 17, as we visit with TJ Majors, the spotter for the number 6. It is an interesting world of NASCAR, and comparing it to football. In the world of football, I was talking to some coaches this past week, and they talk about you can't get too high, you can't get too low. You got to keep yourself grounded. It's such a mental game that the ones that make it in football, the ones that make it in baseball, even. I was talking to a coach the other day that said the difference between a major leaguer and a minor leaguer is the ability to have the mental wherewithal to handle the wear and tear of the season. I'm curious from a spotter's perspective, from a team perspective. You mentioned how you take it 1 week at a time and you get excited every week, but how is the mental grind for a spotter? How different is Iowa as opposed to, that came out a little Minnesota, as opposed to Iowa, as opposed to Talladega or Bristol or whatever, as you try to mentally stay focused throughout the entire season? I'm sure it's gotta be tough at times.
Yeah, I don't think it really it can be challenging sometimes when you go from a track like last week. We were supposed to have a longer practice or something like that, and those weeks can be different than others. But honestly, man, you don't. It's the same routine no matter what, and you just gotta, like I said, Sunday night. You wake up Monday, you better be looking at the next track, and there's a little bit of catch up work that I do on Monday mornings just to. When I go back to Indy, I got some stuff that I want filed away there and in the notes and in the database. So you can do a little bit of that, but man, it's full steam ahead on winning Iowa. So I don't think there's a lot of races. You don't really get that. It's a lot of them in a row. But honestly, when you're not at the racetrack, you're kind of lost. So you're just so used to doing this, and when you're not there, I don't know if you what was it, a month or so ago? I had a procedure and I missed a few races. So, and I know that, man, when you're not there, you're lost. Like you're still following along and you're still watching every lap time. I watched everything. I listened to every single thing that.
Hard to do it. You had the spotter in your ear the whole thing?
I listened to the spotter. I listened to all of them. You should have seen my office. I had more screens up watching and listening to stuff. And you're still included. You're still like feel like you're right there still. But when you're not at the track, man, it's just different. Like, this is my 21st year doing it, and this is the longest that I've ever been home during the summer. You know, even if it wasn't for fun reasons, but it was the longest that I've ever been home, and I felt lost. So it reminds me of, you remember the Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah, of course.
When the guy is just in there so long and he gets out and he doesn't know, like, everything's just so different. You don't even know what it's like. You know, it reminds me of that.
Well, we're glad you're back.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, are you okay? You're good?
I don't think it's the same analogy.
I hope so.
I don't think it doesn't feel like you're back in prison like in
No,
Shawshank.
yeah, no. It's good to be back, man. Like I said, yeah, I'm good now.
Good.
It was a trying time there since I think, was it Darlington? Yeah.
You missed 4 races, right? It was 4 races.
I missed Darlington, and then I missed 4 races after the procedure.
All the way through Mexico City. Oh yeah, Darlington was where you had your initial
Darlington, I went to
symptoms.
the ER, and it was something that I was planning to do in the off season. But I had an issue in Darlington and ended up in the ER. And whenever the doctor come out, and he was like, "It's 3:00 in the morning." He's like, "Yeah, we looked at your scans. We're contemplating emergency surgery." And I'm like, I'm in Florence, South Carolina, and I think I'd rather be at home, somewhere local with my doctors and stuff. So luckily I was able to get out of there and back to my regular doctors, and we just moved everything up ahead and working with someone like Brad and RFK. They're very, you got to put your health and safety first. And we moved the surgery up that I had and just got it done with. And good news is, whenever the surgery doctor said I should be good for the rest of my life. So that was the best news from that. So back, now I don't have to worry about, we're contemplating emergency surgery, at least for that anyway. So I should be good. And it was a trying time a little bit, but everybody, having, Brad pushing me to do it as well. And I had, luckily his brother could step in and cover for me as well. And that helped out a ton. So it worked out. Everything worked out how it should have.
And you mentioned his brother, Brian Keselowski, who was a guest on this show just a week ago and talked a little bit about that very situation. Let's get your side of it. How much did you have to work with Brian, or how much could you even work with him, knowing what you were going through, to kind of get him ready for this?
Brian's pretty race savvy already. As far as like the prep work and stuff, I don't know if I don't think Brian does a lot of that stuff. But as far as like seeing what's happening in a race and calling a race from what he sees on track, he's really good at that. I mean, he's raced before himself, so it works out well that he understands those things. And I think in short doses, him and Brad get along really good. Some of the stories I've heard in the past from them two, they might, along, working together for a while might end up in some brotherly love. But no, Brian's really smart as far as how races go and seeing things, and he's I mean, he just knows he can. I don't know. It's hard to describe. He has a good feel for the race and how things are flowing. But the prep work, I still put together all the prep work stuff for Brad and gave that to him, and I think Brad still went fully prepared on that side of things. And I think it's a level of comfort too, having his brother up there. And I think if it did go bad, he wouldn't feel bad if he yelled at him or anything either. So, but no, it all went good, and it's fun to. I mean, it's not fun, but it's nice to have someone like Brian that you can plug in there and feel. I don't. Brad being one of my best friends too. You don't want to send. My number one job on race day too is safety. Like, you're trying to look out for these guys and knowing, feeling comfortable with who I'm sending to the track too. It makes a big difference.
Right.
Agreed. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Let's take a break. We got more with TJ Majors, the spotter for the number 6 for the Brad Keselowski number 6 Ford Mustang. We'll talk more with TJ next, right here on Backstretch. We're back here. It is Backstretch Banter, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio with RFK Racing, Chris Childers, Mike Massaro. We've got TJ Majors with us, who is the spotter for the number 6 Ford Mustang, driven by Brad Keselowski, who is a part driver, part team owner. Here with RFK. TJ, we go to Iowa this weekend. You were mentioning a little bit ago how the chemistry at RFK is off the charts compared to some places that you've been It made me think of a conversation that I had with an NFL player recently that told me his time with the Patriots, the Browns, and the Chiefs could not have been more different. Even though it was the same sport, same league, same deal, it was just completely different organizational cultures going on. How different is this one? Because I've gotten very used to this one, and it feels very sort of mom and pop from a everybody feels like family kind of feeling. How does it compare to some of the other places that you've been from a cultural perspective?
I mean, it's different. This is I don't know. You feel like you have real teammates, and they're not like you like. I've been in races where we've lined up with a teammate before, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, I know if the door opens, this guy's going around us, and I don't feel like that. Like you feel like when you got a guy behind you, your teammate behind you, and he says he's going to help you, he's sticking with you, and we all know that. You get within a couple hundred yards of the start-finish line, and somebody makes the move to win the race, and you finish first or second. That's perfectly acceptable, and you would expect that. But as far as like getting to that moment, I've been involved in a lot of races where I've had teammates say they were going to stick with us, and all the way to the white flag lap, and with 3 to go, he's passing us, or pulling another line somewhere else. And this is you just don't have that here. The way Brad and Chris work with each other, and it's just natural too. Like there's no, you don't have to work at it. Like it just comes like, hey man, there's my teammate. I'm gonna bail him. I'm gonna help him out here, and like it just comes natural, and it's fun to see that. You don't feel like you're obviously you're competing against each other, but you don't feel like some places many years ago you almost felt like your teammate was more the enemy than the other guys, and you just don't have that here, and you have a really good teams are right next to each other, working with each other, get along great. You bring another guy in like Ryan. Like I look at Ryan's situation right now. His situation is completely different than it was last year. Last year, I feel like Ryan he was competing for a job in the early, for a lot of the year, trying to fit. And they're all, if they had a chance at beating each other last year, they had to take it they were all trying to find jobs, right? So. I think it's different. I think it's different when you go in there and Ryan has the guys like Brad and Chris, and he knows that if we all line up at a plate race or anywhere, that we're going to be with each other, and man, they're going to be like, how are we going to beat these guys? But it's just nice you don't worry about it, and there's like I said, there's been plenty of restarts where we've been around teammates, and I'm just like, man, I know that I know if that guy gets a chance, he's going to take it. So. But it's just nice to see that, and I don't know if you can. I guess it's just the way the drivers are with each other, which really sets the tone for everybody. If they see the drivers working with each other, it just blends everything else together much easier. So if you have two guys that are, constantly butting heads and not really struggling, but like. Very competitive with each other, and it gets to the point where there's some contact. It's going to be some hard feelings there at some point, and it's going to be harder to maintain that relationship. But here, I mean, it's just nice, man. I don't know. It's just how it flows, and obviously it starts at the top as well, and the teams are great with each other. I mean, this is me and my other. Mike Herman get along great with each other, and we added a third guy in this year, Brandon Wilkinson. He's kind of learning it's his first year spotting in any national series, so he's learning a lot from me and Herm and how things go and the weekends and the work during the week go and things like that. So, but it's fun being kind of just one. You know what I mean? Like it's not 3 separate teams. We kind of race as one.
Yeah, and I've observed that myself, Chris. Just this last week, for example, when Brad got out of the race car, the first thing he did was go over to Ryan Preece to have a bit of a debrief afterwards. And, he didn't go to his team for water, which I would have assumed he needed right away after a long, hot day. But his first priority was to go to Ryan Preece and have a conversation about those closing laps, I'm sure, and just kind of compare notes. And afterwards, of course, he got with Chris as well. So Brad is certainly playing the role of the senior leader on this team. And Chris and Ryan are embracing that, especially Ryan. I've been privileged enough to hear conversations that they've had, and certainly Ryan, although he's had several years in the Cup Series with other organizations, he has certainly I would say, adopting the relationship with Brad as if he was a mentee, if you will. But even though he is not, but he's certainly trying to be a sponge there and gather as much information from the former champion as he can.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart play for Ryan, too, coming in here and he's done a great job this year. He's been really good. And I honestly, I think he's surprising some people as well. And I don't think there's no reason why. Would Chris win 2 or 3 races, 3, 4? Well, he won like 3 or 4 that one year, didn't he? Three, yeah. And there's no reason why any of these guys couldn't go off and do that. So I think it's a great situation for all of them.
It is, and it's exciting.
It is.
I mean, we may not have the wins of the board yet, but we know that the potential is definitely there.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
TJ Majors, spotter for the number 6. Little birdie told me there's a video game that is out and about where your voice and likeness is involved. There's AI, or what's going on? Are you in this NASCAR 25? What's happening there?
Yeah, I'll be in the new NASCAR game coming out. Pretty excited about it. It's been a while since a good console game has come out, and they asked me to be part of it, so I agreed to do it. And we did some spotting scenes for it, as well as there's like a career mode path in it you can be a part of, and actually do some in studio shots like with the download with that. So it's kind of cool to see, like if you're an up and coming driver, you get to go on the download and stuff too, and be a part. Or we talk about certain things that have happened. Like it's kind of weird. It reminds me of there's like disasters that happen too out of your control, and it wants to know how you handle it, I guess, too. How you decisions you make, which also affect down the path and stuff too. So it's cool, man. I'm looking forward to it coming out and getting on there and probably wrecking some people, I guess. I mean, that's probably to be honest with you. But no, I'm looking real forward to it. Those people have been great to work with, and I mean, I'm excited. It's been a while.
I can't wait to get my hands on that game.
I thought you were gonna say get wrecked by me. No.
Well, that too. But we'll let somebody else. Let you wreck somebody else. I can't wait to drive though and participate in the game. It's going to be a lot of fun. I love those games. And like you said, it's been a while. Break time, come back. We'll finish up with TJ right around the corner as we look ahead to Iowa. Coming up next, Chris Childers, Mike Massaro, TJ Majors. It's Backstretch Banter. We're back here, Backstretch Banter with RFK Racing. We head to Iowa this weekend. The number 6 will be featuring the Solomon Plumbing car wrap this week. The 17, Chris Buescher, will be driving the Bodyguard Fastenal, and the 60 will have Mohawk on it this week. Great sponsors as we go to a really cool racetrack. You and Brad hoping for a win this weekend. The 6 team hoping to get in victory lane. We were talking off the air a little bit about your relationship and your ability to, maybe speak openly, freely with Brad, maybe correct him when other people would be scared, especially when he's an owner. But give us an idea of the relationship, the respect, the honesty that you guys have spotter to driver.
I think that's one advantage that I have as a spotter, and probably as Brad has as a driver too, is knowing each other so well. There's just being around each other for so many years, coming up in racing and being on the same page. We think about things the same way on the track. We're just on the same page a lot, just naturally. Like it just works out, and I think that just has an advantage on race days, and you can being around each other during the week, and the families being close and things like that. I just think that all. There's an advantage there, in my opinion, just knowing, like, it's weird, but you just being on the same page, like a lot of the drivers and spotters, or some that probably don't talk a lot during the week, and having that having that connection with Brad, talking during the week, and flying with each other a lot, and things like that. We're just on the same page. We're prepared. I know what he's thinking before he probably does, as far as on the racetrack. Away from the track, maybe not as much, but on the racetrack, I kind of know what Brad's going to do before he knows what he's going to do, just by visually, looking ahead and what the situation we're in is. So I think that adds up, and it definitely definitely has a he knows that I'm always gonna put his safety first as well, and keep him out of trouble and do everything I can to do that. And I mean, we've been involved in some pretty bad wrecks before. I think the scariest one was that Fontana wreck in the Xfinity Series many years ago. That was a rough one, but
yeah,
I think it definitely helps though. There's definitely an advantage to having that connection.
And it's a trust thing, too, as well.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
One thing I've noticed when I listen to your style, something that you do that not many do, others do, but not many, you coach Brad quite a bit. Wrap this turn tighter or drive it in deeper, or this car is doing this, you should probably try to do this as well. And it starts with practice. It happens in practice, you coach him, and it continues on throughout the course of the race. That comes down to trust, too, because I think a lot of drivers probably wouldn't take that type of coaching from their spotter, but Brad certainly does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 21 years into this. You've seen a lot of corners and you've seen a lot of things, and I trust my eyes, and if there's something that I see that might work better, I tell him. I mean, that's what my job is as well, is you want to be a useful tool. Not only are you a safety device, but you want to be a useful tool for the driver and the team on track. So if I see something I think is going to help Brad, or if I see an adjustment that he can make, I'm going to tell him.
Mm-hmm. And he listens most of the time, I would think, right?
I hope. I don't know. If he didn't, I'd be worried.
Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say, and these guys certainly have a good relationship. You can see that week to week with this number 6 car. Couple minutes left. Final thoughts on Iowa, a track you're familiar with. Give us some details on the nuance of spotting there.
Iowa, it's a really fast short track. It's like a mile and a half. I feel like they're going so fast there, but it also races like a short track. And I think with the repave there last year, they did some of the corner work and stuff. So there was a preferred groove that you wanted to be in. So you kind of had to plan ahead. If you're going to make a pass, because if the pass doesn't work out, you could lose 2 or 3 spots. Guys lining up out there, or being a short track still, you can kind of go in there and maybe use the bumper a little bit and get a guy up out of the way. Some, moves like that. But it was really cool to go back to Iowa after all these years. It's just, I mean, it's fast with that repave and everything. It's fast, and but I think it's going to be. Don't think it's going to be as hot this year as it was last year. Last year was miserable hot there, and I think this year was right around 78 or 80 degrees so far right now. So, looking really forward to that. But I don't know, man. You want to be fast, avoid trouble. Maybe don't let anybody push you around. I mean, that's one thing. You don't want a guy to lean on you a little bit and not give it back, because then he's going to keep doing it some more. So, you definitely want to stand your ground there and just try to be competitive.
TJ, good luck this week. Thank you so much for the time. Should be a great one as we go to Iowa. I can't wait. I think the race is fun. I think the track is fun. I think the atmosphere at that one is fun. I'm really glad that it's a part of the schedule. And good luck to the number 6 team, TJ Majors. He is the spotter for Brad Keselowski. TJ, thanks for hanging out today.
Yeah, man, it's been a pleasure coming on here and talking racing and stuff with you. We didn't get to much football today, but I'll end it with the Go Bills.
Go Bills, and next time I promise we'll go full Bills Mafia. TJ Majors, he is a delight to talk to, the spotter for the number 6. We are done for the week. I want to thank Mike Massaro, as always, for helping us out from RFK. I'm Chris Childers, and we'll see you next week on Backstretch Banter. Have a good week.